Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Guys, can you hear me please? Confirm. Okay. Hello. Yeah. Wait. Okay. Hello. Now I think you are able to hear or still have the same issue. Let me check. So in the last class, what we had a discussion. We had a discussion. So what are the different on change client shift and on cell edit, and we checked it how it will be work in the scenario. So this is the one, and today we have one more important topic. There's multiple things. So I'm just so in the service now there are two base tables. Two base tables is nothing but those are the main tables in service now. First one is the task table, and second one is the CMDB underscore CI. This is the one of the most asked interview question. What are the base tables in service now? There are two base tables in ServiceNow. First one is a task table, and second one is a CMDB table. So, what is the purpose of these two tables? So, the incident, problem, change like that. There are many tables has extended from the task table, and CMDB related things which was extended from the CMDB underscore CI table. So that's the reason these two are one. If you not answer this question, the interviewer may understand how much knowledge you have on service now. That means you don't have any knowledge on service now, they will think like this one. Now, so I'm just opening an incident form.
హలో చెప్పమ్మా ఎక్కడ ఎక్కడ పంచాయతీ ఎంత
See,
మంది ఉండేది ఎన్నింటికమ్మా సరే
so
సరే
I'm sorry, just give me. Okay. So I'm sorry. This is the incident form. So whenever if you want to TC, I'm just opening this one incident form and going to the table. So if I go to the table, you can see this table is extended from the table called task table. That means, see here, this is the table. So now that means there are many. If you want to, you can check the tables also. So if I open a tables, see extensible extend table. There are a lot of things. So if I make it as a group by, let me check it. Well, let's see how it is come. There are many tables as action from this one. If I open a task table, so if I open a task table, See, these are the tables which are extended from the task table. These are the one. So there are many things: asset, business application request, catalog task, change phrase, change request, change task. These are the many things has action from the task. That means for each and every table, it will be parent for the task table. Sorry, child for the task table. Now I'm just going to open the incidents. So this is the incident. So if I open this incident form, so for example, if I want to check this one, show as assignment, I can see this is the table is task and the group is this one. Here, what happened is this assignment group will has taken from the task table. That means if any parent table fields, we can utilize in the child tables also. Now, the next step was what we have to do is so now the next step was let's see. For example, if I go to this configure dictionary, so this is the task table. So if I make this one as a mandatory, assume that mandatory and update it. Now what happened? This field was mandatory. So since similarly like how we have an incident table, we have a problem table also. For example, if I open a problem, so here the assignment group also manager. So my requirement was very clear. I want to make this field in the see. For example, if I open this assignment group and go to the show, again it was coming from the task table. Now my requirement was so I want to make this assignment group was mandatory in the incident form, and I don't want to make this field in the one. For example, if you want to change this one, right click, we'll go to the configure dictionary. See again, it was taken from here. If I make a mandatory false here, update. So here it was not mandatory assignment. That's very good. And if I reload this one, let's see what happens. See again. This assignment group also not mandatory. But our requirement was the assignment group should be mandatory in the incident form and it should not mandatory in the change request. So here whatever we are writing is called as a dictionary entries. That is a dictionary entries. So to override those options, for example, as per our requirement, it should be in the so the assignment group should be mandatory in the incident group one only. But here in the dictionary entry, it was not mandatory. It was mandatory was false. So to if you want to achieve this one, we can override this dictionary entry by using the dictionary override option. If you see here. So if you want to, we have already an option. So this one. See, this is the global and the base table is same task table and on which table we need to apply. Here we have override reference qualifier. So reference qualifier override is nothing but so if I open this one, let me open it again. Configure dictionary. So here what happened here you have given type is not null and type is ITIL. So this is the one we have given. Okay. So now if you want to override this one, we want to see the only the active groups, we can write the query here. If you open this one and if you write a return reference qualifier here, it should be override. So like this I can tell you. Mm, Go to the groups. So here what I am going to write is activist, for example, and saving this one. So if I see the activist two, there are 51 groups who are there. If not active, also same. Okay. So I'm going to mark four groups as a false active. So now our query was, if it is active, there are 47 groups were there. So just here right click, copy query and paste it here. Active is true and save this one. So if I open an incident, see here how many groups it was visible. The same 47 groups were visible here. Or else, for example, if I make as a false reference qualifier and save this one, see 44 visible. Why? Because the difference is for here they have written a condition is type is a null, type equal to null, and our type is ITL. But we have override this one with the active is true each one. So that's the one. And override depend. If you want any dependent, we can depend it. So here we don't have dependent. And attributes, if you want a T picker, we can attribute, and this we mostly we cannot use it. And override default value. If you return any default value, we can override with the default value. So right now we don't have any. If you have any calculation, we can write it. And here you can see override mandatory. So that means for there it was not mandatory. If you want to mandatory, override mandatory as true and mandatory, and save this one. Now if I reload this page, let's see what happens. See here the assignment group was mandatory, which is our expected behavior. And if I open the problem, see here it is not mandatory here. So that's a reason we can use the dictionary override option. And like that we can do the one. And we have another field called here. If you want to make a read only, we can override read only. So but never make a field mandatory and read only. So I will tell you what was the issue. Override and this one, save this one. Now what happened, we have given a field is a mandatory and read only. And let's see here. Oh my god, the mandatory is gone. Okay, so I think it's given as the mandatory has gone since it is read only. But the best practice, you never mark as a field mandatory and read only as true. That's a basic thing. I hope it till now you guys as understand what is a dictionary override. Right? This is also one of the most common asked interview question. The interviewer may ask, what is a dictionary override? Then you have to tell that. So in ServiceNow there are parent child relationship was there table in the tables. So if you want to make any changes, or if you want to override the dictionary entries which using the parent field in the child table, so we can override those options by using the dictionary override. This is a one scenario, one thing. And the scenario based question the interview may ask. So I have as a assignment group in the change form and incident form and problem form. I want to make a field mandatory in the incident form, and I want to make the same field read only in that form, and I want to make that field that reference want to looking into the same thing. Then we have to say that we can use the dictionary override option by using configure dictionary and go to the dictionary entry dictionary override. From that we can configure the same thing. So this is the most common asked interview question. What is a dictionary override and what is the purpose of it? I hope you guys clear till now, right? Any questions? Okay, because this is the very important topic. So when come to the interview point of view, these two questions will come. Now, see, you have seen this incident form. This is very good. And for example, I can see impact is high. If I changing this impact, automatically this priority was changing, right? So for impact, if I make as a urgency, priority was changing. If I make as this one, that means you can see. mm, that means if I return as the same thing, this medium and low, so that means if I depending upon the impact on both the fields, this priority was changing. But if it is a one field, we can write an unchanged client script and we can do the same thing. But here it was different, and depending upon that those two field values, we are setting up another field value. So how this can is possible? Anyone has any idea? Okay. So for this one in the service now, the priority for an incident is the most important thing. Even we know, right? Whenever we have some lot of work for it in personal and professional, we will work. The priority is the first step. Whatever the high priority one, so we'll try to close it in the first step, and we can do the same thing for it. And now the next thing, what happened? The impact is nothing but, for example, if you raise an incident, what was the impact for it? It may be high, it may be low. That means how many users was affecting one, and how much effect on the business for the same thing. And the next step, urgency. Urgency is nothing but how urgently you need to resolve the incident for it. So depending upon these two field values, this priority will be set up automatically for the same thing. Now now the next step. So if you want to do one, we can use a data lookup. Search for data lookup. Here we have a data lookup definitions, and opening that data lookup definitions. See here, we have an option called priority lookup. So priority lookup. In that priority lookup, the source table. Source is nothing but from where it was getting. So that means from which form it was, sorry, which table we are getting. So since we are in the incident form, it is coming from here, and matcher table, it should be priority data lookup matcher table, which means, so what are the values was in the priority data lookup table, so it should be automatically added here. So that's the one. And now here you can see active is true. Active is true is nothing but, so whenever the active is true, it has to follow it, then only it will work. And run on form change. So for example, if I make as a run on form change and save this one, and let's see what happens. So if I open an incident, see, hi, see, if the I have changed these two, this value has changes. But since we are changing the form in the form value, it is not. So I'm just going to mark as a true. Let's see what happens. See see now it has been changed, right? That means if you want to apply this run on form change, is always should be as a mark as a true. And next, run on insert is nothing but whenever we are going to create insert in the first step. So that I can open this one. So what I have given is run on insert is false, See, here the value is changing. Okay, I have given a run on form change also. This should not be there. Just try to reload it again. See, this is not changing here. This is the basic thing. So if you want to mark as a one, always should be run on insert and run on form change should be true. And if you have run on update, so for example, if I make a run on update as false, let's see what happens. Whenever the record is updating, so I'm just making the assignment. Oh. See, right now the both are planning. If I save this one, so it was form change. It was automatically change this one. Run an update. So basically, if you want to any priority lookup, the 100% we can use run on form change and run on insert and run on update. So these three always we will mark as a true for this same thing. Now, so right now what we have done, we have just defined it and what is the source table and what is the target matcher table and what is the run on form insert form run on what is the other steps one. Now here we have seen a matcher field definition and setter field definition. That means the matcher field is nothing but what are the fields we need to add the same thing. So that means the impact and urgency. That means what are the source table field and what are the matcher table field. I'm sorry, excuse me. So what are the matcher table and what are the source table? We can write it one. So in the source table, that was an impact and matcher table that was the impact. So for the urgency, the source table is urgency and the matcher table is urgency for the same thing. So we can write it. And next step here we have called setter field. Setter field is nothing but whenever if I use the same thing, it will be go to the setter field. Setter field is nothing but the priority. So which will be the here what is the field we need to set up. Here we need to set up the priority. So till now what we have seen it, we just define the from which what is the source table and what is the matcher table and when it want to execute, like run on form change, run on insert and run on update. Now and also we have given what are the matcher table is nothing but what are the field values we need to take the input as a from the user. And next one setter field and which field we need to change this one. So this is the basic thing till now. This is the definition we have done it. The next step what happened if the priority was high, impact was high, and priority is coming as a critical. And we should know from our we need this, that means we have configured this in a backend somewhere. So if you want to see this one, this is the one from the priority data lookup locations. If you want to, you can search for a lookup. So in the lookup, we have called system policy. In the system policy, we have a data lookup definition and assignment lookup definition and priority lookup definition. So from priority lookup rules, from that one, we can go to the priority lookup. See here what we have written, I high. So that means if the impact is high and urgency is high, the priority go to critical. So for example, if I change this one, impact is high and urgency is low, I'm just making as a priority is critical. So for this one again, I'm just So opening the incident. If I open this one, see high, low. See the say critical is same. Or if I give as a see, we have a high low for is for example high. See here we can see the both the same thing. That means if I give the order as different, so then only it will be executed same thing. I will show with an example. So for this order, so I'm just making this order as a minus 300. So which means which is a very early for us. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say this right now it was critical, and if I give the one, it should be. Let's see what happens. No, it's not saying. See, the moderate is coming. That means if you have the same value on that one, but which value we need to update it, it will be go to the uh, this order only. So this is the basic thing, and always we can. So this that means here we can configure the same thing. For example, so if the high, so I want to set up this as a different one. Planning, for example, if the impact is high and urgency is high, so I can make it as a priority as a planning. If I reload, see, if it is a impact is high and urgency is high, then it will go to the as a planning is high. It will go to the. So from this data lookup, if you want to add any choices, everything we can do the same thing. This is the priority lookup rule. So I hope everyone has understood or any confusion. This is the most important thing when you set up a ITSM module. Okay. Anyone has any questions? Okay, I'm treating as a yes. You guys understood. Now the next step. So whenever if you are creating an incident, for example, so we have purchased in a Flipkart some XYZ product, and you have received it, and once you have received it, you have identified has a some defects. Then what you will do, you will raise a complaint on this one, whether should be a pickup, whether should be a replacement, or whether should be a refund, or whatever it may be. So you will raise a complaint, and whenever you raise a complaint, the concerned team will be come. That means if you raise a complaint is nothing but, assume that in our terminology it's an incident. So if you raise an incident, what happened, the concerned team member will come to the there automatically, which means the ticket or incident will be assigned to him automatically. That means how this one assigned to them automatically, which means it was assigned to them automatically. So what we have to do is, it was assigned automatically. How it will be configured? That means depending upon the category, we can write. For example, if you see, if the incident was category was inquiry and software, for example, okay, right now it was not there mandatory, right? Okay, So just give a minute. I'm just removing that this dictionary override. Let's see. Override. Okay. So if I open this one, generally the incident will be created like this one. So here what happened? So you will raise an incident. If you raise an incident, so automatically it is not assigned to any group. If you assign to group, what happened? We will the assignment the group manager or team lead will assign to the incidents to the their team members. But here what happened? It was not assigned to one. We have not understood. It will be very difficult to us to understand this one. Which one? That means we have to assign it to the manually, which is a many things. It will be a issue for us. That means whenever the incident is raised, it so depending upon the category. For example, if the software category, software team will work on it. If it is a hardware category, the hardware team will work on it. And if it is a something some different category, database category, the database team will work. Or if it is an inquiry or help, the service desk team will work on it. So like that, there are different things. That means depending upon this category, we can assign them. So it will reduce the manual effort. And of course it will have one or two incidents, anyone can assign manually. But if it is a more than 100 incidents, it will some difficult to manage. But if it is more than 1000, it will almost take the long time, and which will going to affect the organization, which will breach the SLS for it. That means we have to understand the we have to configure. So whenever if the category is software, it should be assigned to the software category. So for that one, in the service now we have a called assignment rules. We can define those assignment rules. Here, here we have assignment lookup. So what I am going to do is, so I'm just going to assign this one. For example, category is software, and I'm not adding the subcategory. If you want to, we can add a subcategory. Software group. I'm just going to assign this one. Now, okay, opening this one. So I'm just going to software. It will come automatically if some. Since is the backend, it will come whenever the user is creating from their end, it will automatically assign to the group members. So that means once it is software, it will go to the one. And also here, one of a defect for this one, this assignment lookup will be run only when the time of insertion. It will not run once the record is up. For example, if I see software, if I change this one hardware and save this one. The assignment group is software. Now if I change this to software, it should be like this one. So for that means if I make as a change and as a hardware, and I'm going to save this one, which is a fine. But if I is a software, oh my god, it will work. But most of the time this assignment lookup will be run only at the time of insertion, and also it will work on the updation also. But mostly we can do it from the insertion only. Or like that. For example, if I give as a okay, here I'm just going to have a categories are the hardware, and that's a CPU issue. and I'm just going to, so this is the item NEV1. And if I, for example, if I go to the hardware, so for example this hardware, and I'm just going to adding the Beth Anglin directly. Beth Anglin, and save this one. Now what happened if I give the hardware and see this one? So if I open the incident, so I'm just going to create an incident. So caller hardware subcategory CPU test 1 2 3. See here, if I the configuration item I have not given. So if I give this configuration item 815, if I save this one, then see it has automatically come here. If I save this one, it will be automatically assigned to the Beth Anglin. So he can start the work on the same thing. So this is the assignment, like that we can configure a number of things for this same thing. I hope you guys has the assignment lookup you understood or any confusion. If you go to the ITSM implementation, the incident will take a most important. So whenever the user is logged in, so this impact and urgency, so depending upon this one we can set up the priority. So this will take a very important role to the users, which means whenever if we are going to add any things, this is the one. And also the interview and also the interview question on this one. So I just want to set up, if the category was hardware, I need to route it to the hardware team. If it is category was hardware, and I need to route it to the hardware, like that. So the interview math that we can ask it, we can achieve it from the assignment lookup. This is the real time scenarios. We can use the same thing for it. So the data lookup and assignment lookup and dictionary override. I hope you guys has understood. Are any confusion? Because these three topics plays a very important role. It's a very simple, but very plays a very vital role in the ITSM incident management implementation. Okay, very good. And the next step, I just want to see if you want to add any choice in the child table. Just go to the here. So I just want to add a one more choice in the impact. For example, go to here. Right now it was only three, right? If I add a one more thing, it is asking the what was the table. If you add an incident, label is I'm just adding. So it's impact, right? Very low. First my given sequence is 100. Submit this one. If I open this incident form, see, then only it will not visible the existing one. So always if you want to use this one, if I open this table, so nothing it is showing. If you want to, we can show choice list. That means these are the tables. So if I go to the configure, we can add from here. We can move the very low to the minimum and save this one. Now we can see all the choices will be visible. So like that we can add a new choices, or if you want to, you can see configure choices. So from here also we can add a one. That means very low. So you can add a from incident or very low and save this one. If you save this one, you can see very low, very low. So here we can see the very low, but the priority we have not set up. So for this one also we can write it configure choices. So not yet started. So now I'm just going to priority lookup again. So I'm just going to create a new one, which is a very low, very low. Priority was not showing. I'm sorry, it is not showed. Not, not yet started. So I'm just adding not yet started and numeric values for something very low, very low. What happened? It was not showing. Let me check whether the field is created or not. The choice. I think it is not added. So we can add it from here. Not yet started. So by default it was going to the task table, but so if I open this one, give as incident and update. If I open incident, sorry, go to the right. Let's try to save this one. See, not yet started his game. And now if I save this one, if I open incident, very low, very low. So sorry, it was in the same order. I think something is recurrent backend, so maybe I can check this later.